This is Greece. Spectacular, ancient, friendly. What's another way that we might be able to say the word friendly? You might be thinking of words like nice or kind. What are other words that we can maybe use as synonyms that we can think of instead of friendly? Giving, amiable, and amiable has some kind of Latin roots in there. Amistad means friendship in Spanish. But we're talking about Greece today, so let's see. Greece is a country in Europe. It's surrounded by water. In addition to the mainland, Greece includes thousands of islands. As you can see here, Greece is highlighted in yellow. It is located in Europe, and it is in an area that it borders the Mediterranean Sea. Nearly 11 million people live in Greece. Greece has deep valleys and tall mountains. The Vikos Gorge dips 3,000 feet, 914 meters. You know, that gorge kind of reminds me like the Grand Canyon. So the Vikos Gorge dips down 3,000 feet. I wonder how deep the Grand Canyon is. Regardless, that is such a beautiful landscape. Mount Olympus rises more than 9,000 feet, or 2,743 meters. Greece is also known for its beautiful beaches. Much of Greece's land is used for farming. One of the country's main crops is olives. Most villages have their own olive groves. And a grove is like a large collection of trees, fruit trees. Ripe olives are pressed to make tasty golden olive oil. And olive oil is actually one of the more healthy oils to cook with. So that's nice to know. Thousands of years ago, people settled in Greece. Over time, they built a large civilization. This picture demonstrates a 3,000-year-old artwork. The ancient Greeks created the world's first democracy. In a democracy, people have a say in how they are ruled. It's really interesting when we think about concepts like democracy because our current government is a democracy. A democracy is all about having the people represented and that the people have a voice. That's why voting is so important because it really helps to fuel the concept of a democracy. The ancient Greeks built huge cities. They designed tall temples with stone columns. They also built giant outdoor theaters. Many of these structures still stand today. This picture actually shows us a picture of an ancient Greek theater. The theaters are set up very similar to a theater you may see nowadays. What's interesting is that these theaters, called amphitheaters, that when you stand at the bottom of the amphitheater at the center, that these are designed to carry sound from the bottom all the way to the top without the use of speakers. It was quite an invention and feat for architecture that the Greeks employed. The first Greek games were held in Greece more than 2,700 years ago. The capital of Greece is Athens. It's one of the oldest cities in the world. New buildings stand side by side with ancient ones. Can you think of a country similar to Greece that has ancient ruins and buildings that are nestled in between the current modern buildings? One of the countries that I'm thinking about is Italy. Do you remember how we learned about Italy and how monuments like the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain are located amongst the modern buildings? 2/3 of Greeks do live in cities. High above Athens is the Acropolis. Acropolis means city at the top in Greek. It's a group of very old buildings. The most famous building is a 2,500-year-old temple called the Parthenon. The Parthenon is one of the most visited places in Greece. And remember, a temple is a place of worship, sort of like a church. In the ancient Greek times, they had a religion that was called, that was a polytheistic religion. It means they had many different gods for many different purposes that they worshipped at the time. This was before the monotheistic movements such as Christianity and Jesus Christ. The main language in Greece is Greek. This is how you say hello and goodbye. Yasu. This is how you say mother. Mitera. Greek is one of the oldest spoken languages in Europe, and Greek is such an old language that it has influenced many other languages. In fact, different words were picked up from the Greeks to the Romans after the Romans conquered the Mediterranean. Nowadays, there are many words in the English language that have Greek roots. You see these in many scientific vocabulary. Words like chlorophyll or cellular, microphone. These kinds of words have Greek roots and Greek root meanings. And so any words that you can break apart into parts, morphemes as we call them, have either Latin or Greek roots to them. Greek food is delicious. People enjoy flaky spinach pie. They grill chunks of meat to make souvlaki. It's served with a creamy yogurt sauce. The creamy sauce is called tzatziki, and it is so good. Souvlaki is often wrapped in a bread called pita. And so you may have like lamb souvlaki or something along those lines, and you may see this actually if you visit a Mediterranean or a Greek restaurant, and it's gonna look like the word is spelled gyros, Gyros, but the pronunciation is actually heroes. So you want to say it almost like a hero, big and strong, a hero. Heroes are basically like Greek sandwiches made with pita and meat and tzatziki. Family is the center of Greek life. Adult children often live with their parents. Grandparents share the home too. Greek families eat most of their meals together. Many holidays are celebrated in Greece. Easter is an important holiday for Christian people. And so we talked about how in ancient Greece, it was a polytheistic religion where they worshiped many different gods. And this is where you have like Greek mythology. But today, most Greeks are actually Christian, and that's a result of the Roman Empire and Christianity coming through that means. Greek Easter bread has a dyed red egg baked into it. Now, I've never heard of an egg baked into a bread like that, but the similarity to American culture is we paint and color Easter eggs every year. People light candles and march through the streets. In other religions practiced in Greece are Islam and Judaism. And Greece is real close to kind of the nexus or the common crossing place of those three religions. Bird watching is a popular Greek pastime, and more than 440 kinds of birds can be seen in Greece. Just look up. Songbirds, swans, and owls all make their homes in Greece. This bird is called a hoopoe. Who knows what you might see flying in the sky? So here are our fast facts. The capital city of Greece is Athens. The population is nearly 11 million. The main language, Greek. Money is the European euro. The major religion is Christian Orthodox, which is a type of Christianity. Neighboring countries include Albania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Turkey. Here's a cool fact. The ancient Greeks thought it was bad luck to eat beans. Can you imagine? Beans are such a critical part of different cultures. It's interesting that they were seen as bad luck in Greek culture. Another interesting fact is you may notice that Greeks have the euro as their currency. Italians have the euro as their currency, and multiple countries in Europe actually utilize the euro as their currency because many countries have decided to have a common currency to make it easier to purchase things between countries when visiting. Let's review our vocabulary. Ancient. Ancient means very old, like the ruins of Greece. Capital is a city where a country's government is based. The capital of Mississippi is Jackson. The capital of the United States is Washington, D.C. A civilization is an advanced society of people. The ancient civilization of Greece, for example. A gorge is a deep, narrow space between rocky cliffs. Remember that beautiful gorge that we saw? And my challenge to you was to check and see how deep the Grand Canyon is in comparison to the gorge that drops down 3,000 feet in Greece. Groves are groups of fruit trees. Temples are buildings used for worship. So we've learned a lot about Athens, the ancient capital of Greece, and Greece in general. Let's look at some very special crafts that we can do at home that celebrate Greek culture. Ready for your first challenge? Let's play a game of I Spy. Although we're social distancing and sheltering in place at this time, you might be able to take a walk, or maybe in the car with your parents, you're going to the grocery store, and you can keep your eyes peeled for the following. You may see, and especially government buildings, important buildings, you'll see some of these architectural features, and they go all the way back to ancient Greece. These are the different kinds of columns that can be attributed to Greek architecture. The first one is called the Doric column. It's a basic column, top to bottom. Next, in the middle, you see an Ionic column. It has those swirls on both sides. And then finally, and the most ornate of the columns, we have the Corinthian column. So the next time you're driving around with your parents, keep a lookout and see if you see any of these very special columns that are traced all the way back to ancient Greece. Do you have a paper plate, some construction paper, scissors, and some glue? Well, then you can create your very own olive branch wreath. These were worn on the heads of ancient Greek athletes after they won in the Olympics. To this day, if you're watching the Olympics, you may notice that some are crowned laurel wreaths or olive branch wreaths. So to do this, you'll cut a small section out of your paper plate. You'll take a strip of green paper, and if you fold it into small parts, this will help you create leaves that are of equal size. And then you simply take your glue and paste them on. So here is a way that you're able to celebrate the ancient Greek culture that has even made its way to modern culture through the Olympics. Here's a really great idea, especially if you have lots of construction paper and scraps of it that you can create smaller pieces. So what you'll do is you'll actually cut up your pieces of construction paper into sort of like confetti-like shapes, rectangles preferably, or squares, and you're going to create what's called a mosaic. A mosaic wasn't discussed in the book, but mosaics are actually pieces of art that were made from tiles, and they were actually made into the ground. And so you would have these beautiful pictures that were made with tiles on the grounds of these temples and these structures, really important buildings of ancient Greece. And so to kind of replicate this, we can take pieces of paper and glue them together to create a picture. Here's another example of a paper-created mosaic. The great thing about mosaics too is that they don't have to be perfect. The imperfection is what makes them beautiful. So you can make a mosaic out of whatever shape or object you would like. And once you're able to kind of get out and about, sometimes you can even see and find mosaic making classes where you can actually take the tile and put it onto something and grout it, and it's pretty cool activity, whether you're doing it on paper or with actual tile. So I hope you enjoy.